Hello everybody and welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Volkswagen Shenanigans. I actually started filming a video yesterday and I ran into a problem. In a previous episode, if you haven't seen it, I was fitting these adjusters, and to enable me to get the center collar things to be able to move, I had to heat them up and smash them with a drift, which is what is recommended way of doing it. But yesterday, I believe it was, when I went to put the leaf springs back through, it's always a bit of a pain to get them through, but they wouldn't go through. There was obviously a problem. So what I just did now upon investigation is I realized that this is basically the collar. I don't know what you call it, a collar, I don't know. The bit that goes in the middle here that your height adjusting screw goes into, and that's what moves up and down. And the leaf springs go through obviously this square and holds them all together. And I was just doing a video telling you how to go about it. I cleaned the leaf springs up and re-greased them and everything, and then went to slide them in and they wouldn't go. So what I've done now is I've actually managed to get this out. The leaf springs from. So I'll just grab the camera and show you what I've done. Right. So basically, as you can see, this is the collar that the leaf springs slide into, and then you have your bolt that goes through, and then it rotates and raises or lowers the height of your car. So basically, when I hit this thing with the drift, it's damaged the edges. And I think if I was to do this again, I would use a bigger drift so it doesn't interfere with the edges of this. If it fit over this nicely, then we wouldn't be in this problem right now. But basically, I need to file those turned over edges so we can get the leaf spring back through. So basically, what I had to do is I used this slide hammer to get the bearing out. So the bearings go in the end here. So I basically put the slide hammer in there like so, and then you slide this and pulled that out. And also further in, about this far up, is this bearing, which is like Bakelite. It's not plastic, and it looks very brittle. It's actually has some previous damage, but that doesn't affect it really. And I don't have any spare ones of these. So what I did is I actually used the drift to push this through, and it went up nicely against this. And so I basically put the drift through this end, and then used the collar that I was knocking out to push that Bakelite bearing out to be able to get this out. And then now I'm going to file this off, make it all nice. I have to do the upper one as well. And then we're back to business. So that's going to be the task for today. So what was supposed to be like 2-minute job has now turned into be a couple of hours probably. But that is the way this hobby goes, and it's learning at the same time. I've never knocked these out, but next time I'll know. I should have known really, but I didn't. I just smashed them out and that's it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to have a coffee. So I'll just put this in the vise, and I'll use a square file and just take off the damaged edges, and then it'll be fine. Okay, so now you can see that it fits on there really nicely, and there's no resistance, and it's a nice tight fit. I just went over all the whole thing, like checked the whole thing, and there was a couple of little high spots and a little bit of damage, probably when this got hammered through and took out those bumps that were on the beam. So I just took any little bits of damage or whatever, so maybe it will slide better in the tube now. So I'm going to put this back in. So this should slide all the way to the middle easily. And then I'll need to put this back in. I'll just tap that in very gently. And then the bearing goes back in. I'll pack the bearing with some grease. I checked the bearings, they seem pretty okay. So that can go back in, and then I'll do the same to the top one. So you can see I've got these cable ties on here to hold the leaf springs together. So I'll just slide this back in. It should go in quite nice and easily. And then I'll just maybe use a screwdriver and line it up in the middle. There you go. And then I can put this screw just in there, just a little bit, just to stop it from sliding all the way through. If I can get it in. There. So next, I'll put this in. It has a little chamfer on the edge there, so that's the way it goes in. The method I used for getting this in, I first started to use like a handle of a mallet, but it didn't feel right because it has to go in square. If you get it slightly off like this, it might get stuck or it could potentially crack. But we have these at work, and it's aluminium drift. They come in all different sizes, which is really handy because the load gets spread around the whole circumference of the bush. But alternatively, you could find a big socket like this and put the extension in and knock it in. That would be sufficient. So I've got the top one in. I measured from the other side how deep they go in because they don't have a stop, what they go up to, and also had another old suspension arm that I had lying around. They basically, or the other side was in 13 centimeters to the edge of this to the end of this. So that's what I put them back in at, and yeah, so I'll get this back together. Okay, so finally, leaf springs are back in, everything's back together, and the beam is ready to go. Man, I was a little bit nervous doing that because I really want to get this in, and yesterday evening I went to get the parts, and if I'd broken them, I wouldn't have been able to proceed, so I'm super happy that those Bakelite bearings didn't break. Yeah, so the next stage is to remove the beam out of the car. First I need to drain the fuel, take the tank out, because you have 2 bolts on the top of the beam here, and then 2 in each of these. And also the way I like to do it is take as much weight off as possible. You can take the beam out with the brakes on and everything like that. I'll jack the car up, empty the fuel tank, remove the fuel tank, empty the brake reservoir, and then remove the brakes, suspension arms, everything like that, and then finally the beam will come out. So it's getting late, but I think I'm going to at least take the tank out and get the car off the ground, get the front wheels off, and just see how we get on. So I will jack the car up first. Now this is something I've been wanting to try out for a long time. I saw it on Instagram, I think. It's that guy who's, I don't know if you've seen him, he's like, what? No way. and he tries out all these theory things that he sees. So I've put just a pipe in the tank, and then I have a jerry can, and then I stuff the cloth in there to kind of seal it, and then I have the air line. So by adding the pressure inside the tank, it should push the fuel down the tube. So then I don't have to use an electric pump, which is a bit of a pain. So let's see if it works, shall we? So I'll just stick this down there. Oh my God. As easy as that. That is so cool. That's so cool. You can hear it draining. Oh man. I just have to... Right, let's have an assessment. Custom fuel tank out and drained. And the reason is because you need to get these two bolts out. Also, you've got to take all the steering arms off. And because I have this cage, it's also tied in to the front beam, so they have to come off. I have dual reservoir with servo, master cylinder, sorry. So I'm going to empty that. And then if we come and have a look underneath, this is the beam. It's, like I said, 2 inches narrowed. I think it was a Swedish company, but I don't think they exist anymore. I bought this with the car. It wasn't on the car when I bought it, but it came with a load of parts. So there's the two either side that are coming off as well. And I have this beam adjusted as high as it will go with no drop spindles, and it sits just about where I want it. But as you can imagine, this is for really low cars. And then if we come round to here, again, ball joint arm off. I'll take the shocks off again. And then we're going to undo these nuts and remove these arms with the drums on, and then disassemble it on the table. And then we also have these hoses that have got to come off. So if I drain the reservoir before I undo these, it makes less of a mess everywhere. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm ready to take all this stuff out. I've got some tools together, ready to start taking everything apart. First, I'm going to drain the brake fluid reservoir. I'm going to use this squeezy thing. It's a bit like what you get for cooking, the basting squeezy thing, I don't know what you call it. And I've got a tub to put the old fluid in. And then I've got these ball joint separators. There's different ways of doing it. There's this type, which I don't think I want to use because it might actually damage the rubber bellows on the ball joints, and they're new. I've only done less than 1,000 kilometers with them, so it would be good to save those, and I don't have any spare ones. So, and then this is the other type that screws in, or alternatively, you can use 2 hammers and bash each side, and it should pop out. So, brake fluid reservoir is under here. Another reason why the good to get the tank out. Usually on these older models, the brake reservoir is here, and it's only a single one. But this has a dual master cylinder, which means there's a reservoir for the back brakes and there's another reservoir for the front brakes. So if you get one brake fail, it means that you have at least 2 brakes still working. So yeah, one alternative, I think these were for buggies originally, where they put these reservoirs under here. It's a bit of a pain if you need to get to it because it's obviously under the tank, but still it kind of keeps it out of the way. On the later models, they put them up here on the side. They had a reservoir with 2 pipes that ran down. But I like these models because it's not very often you need to top it up or change the fluid. And it's not that hard to get the tank out. So we're going to drain this. So that's pretty straightforward. I'll just suck all the fluid out here. Be careful not to spill it because it will eat into your paint and take the paint off. Doesn't really matter so much with this car because it's kind of crusty anyway. Next thing I'm going to do is disconnect the brake pipes because they've got to come off. I'm not sure if this has different brake hoses with the new kit, but we'll check it when we open it. Obviously one each side. I need to take this steering damper off as well and pop these ball joints, and then 2 over there. We need to pop those off and take these steering arms off. I have to change these steering arms because these are actually shortened because this beam is actually 2 inches narrower. So I can't use these. I painted the other day. I blasted and painted some old ones that I had that will go with this beam that we're swapping in. Also because I have this roll cage coming through to the beam, it connects with the front beam here, so I need to remove them. And also this steering shaft needs to be removed because you've got the steering box just under here as well. So I'll get off as much as I can. And then if we come around to the side here, this is what I was talking about with the splitter thing. So this one goes, you take the nut off obviously, and then this goes in there, you hit it with a hammer and it pops it out. Alternatively, you have this type that goes on there, you screw it and it pushes it through back on. Another way is that you tap with 2 hammers each side, not on the ball joint itself but on the arm, and it should pop it out. So we have so many options. Basically put the nut back on the end, so when you put this on and you screw this in, it doesn't damage the thread. relatively easy. Well, it's very easy actually. It's really nice to work on something that was built not that long ago, because everything comes apart really nice and easy. There's nothing. This is the cable for the speedo, and it goes through the back here, and then it comes out the front of the hub here, and has a little circlip on the end. So all you do is you take the circlip off of here, and then you pull the cable out. So when the wheel spins, it spins the rod. now we've got them both on the table. You can clearly see the differences between these two beams. Only 2 inches in width, but different adjusters work pretty much the same way. These have like these poly bushes in here instead of the roller bearings. Yeah, but both do the same job. So I just need to change these rubbers over to the new beam. Not much else really. And then I have to disassemble take the drums off, and then unbolt these from the other side, because we're doing away with these drums altogether. This is a little bit of a bummer. This is leaking. I do have another one that I was going to put on, but the top was really corroded. So I don't know if it's worth just swapping this top over, or clean it up, put it back on, and then I'll do a rebuild. I could do a rebuild video. I've never rebuilt one of these, but that might be fun. I could rebuild the other one with new seals and everything, and then put that on at a later date. A couple of little problems I had putting this beam in. I went to put the top bolts in, and they felt like they were about to cross thread. So I think they just had a little bit of rust inside. So I'm just running a tap through there just to clean up the thread. I don't want to try and force them in there, because then you know what happens. It could be a whole nother problem. So I'm not sure if this is an awesome idea, but this is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to put these back on assembled with the drum brakes. So then it's easy to get these arms in and everything, and it might be easier to disassemble this in place rather than it being on the table. Okay, one thing to look out for when you put these on, if these aren't, or they're usually not both exactly aligned, the leaf springs in line with each other. So I lined up pretty much where they should be, and the first one went in quite easy. I just gently tapped it with a copper mallet, and the bottom one was a little bit out, so a couple of the leaves pushed through to the other side and didn't locate inside here. So I just jacked it up a little bit and tapped it in from the other side really gently. You have to be careful, because this spring steel can be quite brittle, so if you hit it too hard, it will snap. So don't go smashing it in. So just be wary of that. So now they're both located. You can see I'll put the locating pins in to hold them in place, and then I'll put the other side on. Right, let's take a moment, people. I need some time to recaffeinate. So, what's up next? So I have the arms on, I have the bolts in place holding the arms on, I have the clamps back on that connect to the roll cage, everything located fine. I had to change one of the locating pins because the Allen thread had rounded off. You don't need to go crazy tight with these locating pins because you have the locking nuts on the end. So you don't have to ring them up really tight. Just nip them up nicely and then nip the locking nut up. So next up is we're going to take the drum brakes off. This is quite straightforward as well. Start with taking this off then. This should just open this a bit more. This should just wiggle off. There we go. So I don't know if you can see this on the video if all my arms are going to be in the way, but let's do our best. So you just knock off this tab. Like that. And then, I think this is, one of them is left-handed thread and one side is right-handed thread. What way? Oh, this is normal left-handed thread. Or is it right-handed thread? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, left-handed thread. So, we'll take this off. Have a cloth. And then you have this like lock-in washer. And then you have the second one, which sets how tight you have the bearing, because you don't tighten this one up really tight, because the bearing needs to have some play in it. If you tighten it up too much, it will crush balls and the friction will cause it to heat up and your bearing will seize. You won't get very far. So you have to, we'll do it later when we do the, oh, we won't need to do that with the disc brakes. Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to do. You have to loosen off the drum, off the shoes. So, there is actually, you're not going to see this on camera, but you'll see it once I take it off. On one side you have these adjusters, so you have to rotate them, and it releases the shoes, and then you can slide this off. Hopefully. There we go. I'll hold all that together. So, what we have inside here. So these are the adjusters that I just moved with the screwdriver. They basically set the tension on the drum. You want like a slight drag, that it means that it's slightly touching the drum, not too much, just so you don't have lots of foot pedal movement. So basically I'll leave all of this in place, and then I'm just going to undo these three bolts and the whole thing will come off. So let me try and position this camera again. That. Now I think it's probably 15. Yeah. Let's get a 15 socket. Extension on. Let's get this one first. This one. 2. 3. And there we go. The whole thing comes off in one piece. So now what we have, these are normal spindles, meaning that normal ride height spindles. You can get some spindles which are called dropped spindles, and basically it relocates this spindle higher, 2 inches higher I believe, which means that it lowers your car 2 inches, but you still have the same amount of suspension travel as if you have the stock spindles on, if that makes sense. I actually have some that I can compare. Hold on. Right, here we go. This is a drop spindle. These are actually on this car and I took them off because it was too low for me. So if we put the steering arm in the same position, you can see that the spindle is higher. So instant lowering and no compromise on the ride quality. Okay, I'll just quickly show you this. Right, so this is the left-hand side of the car, and meaning that this is the front here. So basically these are, it's like you turn it clockwise and it comes undone. So this is a left-handed thread. And this is because of the rotation of the drum. It would undo, or it have a tendency to undo if it was a normal thread. So bear that in mind when you're taking these off. If you're trying to loosen it the normal way, it's not going to come off. It's just going to be getting tighter and tighter, and that can cause you a lot of problems. Okay, I decided to split this beam and brake disc conversion into two videos. So this clip, I guess, is at the end of the beam installation, and then I'll post the one about this brake installation that I'm doing now. So it's a little bit hard to organize it, but yeah, it will make sense when you watch it, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching this episode, and then I'm going to continue now with the brake installation that will be in the next video.